So I was in Texas recently. I'll be back in Texas. I'm lecturing to the ATA in August, my short-term rental class. Pretty excited about that. And then I jump on a plane and head right to Val Expo. So it's going to be a busy little travel August for me, but that's okay. I was in Texas and I had a gentleman come up. He was about 75 years old, and he said, "Hey Bryan, can I get your opinion? I want to get your thoughts." I said, "Shoot." And he said, I had some health concerns and I've been out of pocket a little bit, but I feel great now. I got a clear bill of health from my doc. I'm ready to jump back in head first, and I think I'm going to get me a trainee. What do you think? And listen, guys, I am a big advocate for trainees. I've got trainees. I recommend you get trainees. I will support trainees. But I told him, "You really want my opinion?" He said, "Yeah, what's your opinion?" And as you know, always be careful when you ask Bryan Reynolds your opinion, because he's going to give it to you. And sometimes you might not like it. And I told this gentleman, "Okay, in my opinion, you don't need a trainee yet." Come on back and join the conversation and listen in as to the rest of the story, what I told him, and you're going to enjoy my special guest. You're not going to want to miss it. Hi, this is Bryan Reynolds. You're listening to the Appraisal Update Podcast, brought to you as always by the great folks over at Appraiser eLearning. You need some education? Check us out at APPRAISERELearning.com. I'd also like to give a shout out to my sponsor, LI Administrators and Insurance Services. Thank you for your continued support of the Appraisal Update Podcast. And as always, if you're listening and you want to see us, you can jump over to our YouTube channel at Appraiser eLearning and watch what's happening. Don't run off the road trying to watch. Just listen if you're driving. But I told this appraiser, I said, "Look, I will also always support trainees, and I think you should get a trainee at some point, but not yet. I think you need a helper. I think you need someone to help you do that busy work, answer your emails and schedule your appointments and pull tax cards and deeds. Maybe do some data entry, maybe build a calendar to keep you on par," right? I know a lot of appraisers listening right now say, "Well, Bryan, that's a great idea. I'd love to have a personal assistant." Gosh, I could use a personal assistant. But I just can't afford one. Trying to identify somebody, getting them in even part-time. Everybody wants a lot of money. They want health insurance. They want a guaranteed number of hours. And I just, business has been tough the last couple of years. I just can't absorb that. Well, I have a special guest on right now that might have some solutions for you. So welcome to the show, Sean Connolly. So happy you're here today.
Thanks, Bryan. I appreciate you having me on.
Listen, Sean, before we dive into some solutions that you might be able to offer for the appraisers out there listening, or the real estate agents, or the home inspectors, whoever the audience is today, tell us a little bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Sure. So my background is I have my own private equity investment firm in Chicago. It's called Strata Investments. We buy distressed real estates at the auctions in the 5 counties surrounding Chicago. In addition to that, I have a direct-to-seller company that does direct mail, email, search engine marketing to try to cultivate foreclosure leads and off-market leads, and that feeds into our funnel as well. And then I have my own property management company that manages all of our properties in our portfolio, as well as the investors that we work with.
Wow, that's great. Chicago. I lived in Chicago for a while, so I knew I liked you, Sean, but there's another reason, right? So, well, welcome. We're glad you're here. And man, sounds like you're a busy guy, right? You've got a lot of irons in the fire. You got a lot of balls you're juggling. And, how do you do all that? Because that's a lot of work.
Absolutely it is. Well, the one key to it all is Scale Virtually. So what we specialize in at Scale Virtually is process engineering and virtual staffing. And I've literally built the framework and operational procedure into all those companies so that I only work in them about 1 hour a day. And they literally produce about $50 million worth of revenue a year. And it's
Wow.
due to the systems and processes that I've put in place that have enabled me to step out of those businesses. Why do we get into the real estate business to begin with? Everybody wants time and financial freedom, right? How many people actually achieve that? The way to achieve that is through systems, processes, and lucky for me, I was able to start leveraging low-cost labor from the global marketplace about almost about 9 years ago, and that completely changed my life, my businesses. So my quality of life improved drastically. The growth of my businesses is probably 20 or 30x since then. And now it's easier now more than ever to grow my companies because it's more of a strategic focus than the focus on the admin level, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, so that's one thing, the appraiser community for decades, Sean, has been kind of the sole practitioner. It's the appraiser, and they do everything. They go out and solicit clients. For the past 20 years we haven't had to. The work's just kind of flown in the door for us until the rates have come up recently. Now everybody's struggling. Everybody's having a hard time. And so the thought of bringing somebody on is just not on anybody's radar right now. I know we've been out hitting the streets and hustling and getting non-lender work, increasing that a little bit. We recommend that to appraisers out there. So tell me the benefits of trying to bring on somebody when you're kind of struggling right now. You don't have enough work.
Well, that's the key, is never get in that position. So one of the ways that I leverage virtual assistants in my own companies is to do business development. So anytime I have downtime with a virtual assistant, I am figuring out, I build systems and processes around them leveraging their time to further the interests of my business, whether it be, hey, I need you to do these social media posts. Here's the deployment schedule. Go do research on this so that we can stay upfront in front of our client base in the marketplace. That's one. Or maybe just doing general outreach, like, the AMCs that control a lot of the business that goes out there, just making sure that you're staying in front of them with the different marketing, with maybe a phone call, with whatever it may be. And here's the other thing that I've found, especially for someone who's a one-man band, and this was me for a while. I was taking in all the emails. I was taking in all the phone calls. Well, what is your level of customer service to your client base if you're on a 3 or 4 hour appraisal backed up by another one? How quickly are you responding to the people that you're supposed to get the appraisals to or get communication back to? That lag really speaks to the value and quality of your business. If you have somebody who's in your inbox in real time, responding in real time, it seems so much more professional, and it can be more professional. Well, the way we do the service is we actually go back through your last 60 or 90 days of email, and we template out responses that commonly come in. When is this appraisal going to be ready? What is your average timeline on appraisal? Are you available to schedule this appraisal? All those things, if you're in the field and you can't get to right away, you can have a virtual assistant doing that for you so you can maximize your schedule and your time.
That's a really good point, Sean. I know, especially in this market where it's pretty competitive. There's not as much demand as there has historically been for appraisal services because the rates have went up. A client will send an email blast out and say, "Hey, are you available for this assignment?" And gosh, even if you get back to them within the hour, normally that assignment's already gone, right? Somebody else has beat you to it. And I know appraisers out there are thinking, well, I've got my cell phone, I can accept it on that. But can you really? I mean, if you're at a property, if you're doing an appraisal inspection, you're measuring the house, do you really have the time to do that? Or if you're meeting with a client already? So there's something to be said there. I know we just renewed our license in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And we've got to take the time to update every one of our clients with that. And that'd be really nice to hand that off to an administrator or an assistant to do that. One of the pushbacks that I've always heard appraisers talk about when we talk about a virtual assistant Sean, and if you could speak on this. Number one, I don't want them doing phone work because many of them have broken English. They can't communicate very well. I don't want that. And number two, listen, why would I hire someone in a remote area when I know people could use a job right here in my own backyard? And when I say backyard nowadays, it's Owensboro where I'm at, but maybe it's just the United States. Why don't I hire within the United States as opposed to outsourcing that somewhere else? What would you tell an appraiser right now listening or watching that says, I would rather hire right here in the United States than outsource that?
Well, I'll answer your first question first. So you said in terms of their level of communication skills, anybody who works for our company, the prerequisite is they have to have excellent communication skills. Hiring from the US, we're in a global marketplace. And if you want to scale your company, one of the things that I've had as an entrepreneur, the hardest thing that I had in starting all my companies is I was just trying to make enough money to afford my next hire. Well, fortunately today, if you leverage people from the global marketplace, I have clients saving 70% on labor, getting a better value, getting better output, getting somebody who's appreciative to have the job, foregoing having to pay taxes. Did you know 18% of, on top of whatever the salary is, you're going to pay an additional 18% when it comes to benefits and taxes and all the other stuff that you got to consider. That doesn't even include office space. You forgo all of that in leveraging a service like ours, which is huge savings, especially when you're building a company.
Whoa, wait a minute. So did you just say that if I hire a virtual assistant, I don't have to pay taxes? Is that what I heard you say?
You do not. You pay us a flat fee. It's an hourly fee based on the service level that the VA provides, and that can range anywhere from like $10.50 to $12.50 an hour, depending on skill set, tenure, and where they're at. But the savings is incredible. If you were to hire an assistant local, like I'm in Chicago, the average assistant in Chicago, they make between $50,000 and $75,000 a year.
Wow!
Like the savings for me is huge. And if you could hire 3 people for the price of one, it's just a tremendous value. But let me state this one thing: hiring a VA without the proper system in place is where it goes wrong, and that's where our company differentiates itself from all the other companies out there. We have a full team of 6 Sigma process engineers that build out all the training, all the reporting, and we actually meet with you a number of different times, 3 to 5 times, to figure out what we're going to do in your business to build out all of your operational procedure so that your VA can actually step into your business and do it exactly the way you do it and report on exactly what they're doing so you have full transparency. The other problem that I've seen, small to medium-sized business owners is these businesses are our babies. We don't want to lose any level of control or ever put the quality or integrity of our business at risk. Well, when you have the reports that we create, you have transparency on a daily basis that shows you exactly what the VA does for you. And that is the game changer. VAs have been an absolute game changer in the growth of all my businesses and the clients that we work with as well.
Yeah, and I think you said earlier that by using a VA to do a lot of the busy work, it's actually allowed you to hire more folks from your own backyard, as I was referencing earlier. Is that true?
Absolutely. So just to put things in perspective, when I started, let's go back 12 years ago, my construction company was only like 8 to 10 people. Now I think I have like 115 people doing construction daily, because if you look at the American workforce, you want the skilled stateside boots on the ground labor here. If you can outsource that lower level administrative work that literally the stateside people don't really want to do for the most part, if you can get that done for a fraction of the cost, that's going to enable your business to grow faster. That's going to enable your business to make more money. That's going to enable you to hire more people locally and be a better force in the economy for the jobs that are the higher paying jobs that people are really looking for.
That's interesting. So I bring a VA in, they do a lot of the busy work, they help try and grow my business, scale my business, if you will. And then that allows opportunity for me to hire local folks, trainee appraisers, to expand my business into new territory or different types of service. So that is something that I think is a great argument back to somebody that says, well, I don't want to hire somebody from overseas because it's taking jobs locally. No, it might actually be allowing you to increase jobs locally if you get a lot of the busy work out of the way. That's very interesting. Hey, Sean, I want to talk about liability in just a minute. I have some questions regarding the liability and the fear that some folks may have with using a worker that's from another country, and we'll cover that in just a second. But before we get there, when we speak about liability, for well over 45 years, LI Administrators and Insurance Services has been offering E&O insurance to valuation professionals just like you. LI applies superior customer service, exceptional liability education, and quite simply unparalleled claim defense to serve well over 10,000 real estate professionals all across our lands. LIA offers commercial bonds, general liability, cyber liability, and so much more. Check out LIA at liability.com to learn more about how they can help protect you as well as your business. Again, thank you, LIA, for your continued support. All right, Sean, liability. In order to use a VA to set me up with new AMCs, with new lenders, with new potential clients, I may have to give them my bank information, right? Because a lot of my clients pay me by direct deposit. And I'm a little nervous about giving somebody my bank account stuff in another country. I don't know. Maybe that's a fear I shouldn't have, but I do. What is your response to that?
Well, I can tell you one of the largest placements that we do is accounting, and that means people have access to your banking information, and we'll read-only accounts so that they can take information and update QuickBooks where they need to it. From a liability standpoint, no matter who you hire, there's a liability challenge there. We do the equivalent of an FBI level background check, and anybody that works for the company, we sweep their computer before and when they leave. In addition to that, we're hiring people that are proven performers that have already risen the ranks in the companies that they work for, and that usually comes with a high level of integrity. So for us, we do a lot of things to mitigate that on the front end. In addition to that, from a liability standpoint, every single person that works for our company goes through an entire month of training where we're giving them cognitive level tests, see what their aptitude looks like, so that we don't make the mistake of placing somebody who is not really accountable, isn't really capable, all the things that, I would say there's a lot of companies out there that just give you a body. We do a lot of work on the front end to make sure that we mitigate anything that can go wrong through the training process. They actually do the job a little bit before they get put in the job. That way we know they like the job, and we know they're capable of actually doing the job.
So, Sean, what is the best? You're a business owner. You gave some pretty amazing stats a while ago with what you're bringing in. What has been the best way to leverage your business, and what would be the best way to leverage a sole proprietor appraisal office in the country?
Great point, Brian. Well, it really depends on the phase of growth of where your company's at, right? If you're an operation that has 10 people and you need help in bookkeeping and marketing, we can support in those areas. But if you're a sole proprietor, the first hire is always an executive assistant. I've been in executive coaching for the last 8 years. And the first exercise that I've ever done when I've gone in a program is they say, first, we have to understand where you're spending your time and how do we optimize time to give you more time back so you can do more of the things that are going to make you more money for your time. And administrative work is always the stuff that you can identify in anybody's company or in anybody's role. And what we specialize in doing is we're a done-for-you service that actually systematizes getting it off your plate while still giving you that transparency. So for me, an administrative assistant started answering all my emails, and some people go, I would never be comfortable with that. Well, you would if you had take a look at the last 60 to 90 days of your email. Let's template out how you normally respond, and we will actually use those templates to respond to anybody that inquires about your company. And then it's a matter of building rule sets to how you would respond to scheduling or to days off or assignments, whatever it would be if you had multiple appraisals that you need appraisals that you need to assign to different appraisers. So that's what I would look at. It's all about creating the system. And the great thing about us is we have Six Sigma certified process engineers that have already done this. We already know how to do all of this for you. So we're going to walk you through a series of questions to flush out the exact needs of your business. And then we're going to build the system that the VA operates in to give you the transparency of what's going to be done. So for a sole proprietor, identifying everything and just taking the time to write out how you're spending your time, and then identifying where you like to spend your time, all the places you hate to spend your time, and what we could actually offload for you. Not only is it going to give you better value for your business, but your quality of life increases substantially. Mine was terrible. When I first started, I was doing way too much work, putting in 14-hour days, doing a lot of work that I just thought I needed to. But I had my blinders on. I was looking through a very narrow hole and not realizing if I could just have the system in place that got all this other work done, that gave me the transparency that was being done right, I would be, my control need would already be in place. We want that control of knowing everything's being done right. The systems that we build enable you to see that.
That's interesting. Appraisers, when the business is in, when it's good, work day and night, work weekends. I ask a lot of my students, when's the last time you took a one week vacation? And I'll have hands go up. When's the last time you took a 2 week vacation? Almost no hands go up. And then when I go back and say, okay, that week vacation that you took, did you take your laptop with you? Were you? Yeah. I was knocking a few reports out, or at least checking my email. And that's the beautiful thing about having a team, right? And every business I'm involved in now, we have teams. So whether I'm here at my office or not, my office is probably runs better without me here, quite frankly, Sean. Let me ask another question. If somebody's watching or listening and they say, I'm interested, Sean's piqued my interest, but I'm still a little nervous. I don't know that I want a full-time person. Maybe I'll try it out on a part-time basis, maybe a part-time worker, or here's a great plan. Could I get someone to just work a few hours in the evenings and on weekends? And then that way, if I get an order in at 7 o'clock at night and I'm at the movie and miss it, my VA captured it. Or I don't want to work every Saturday and Sunday, especially when it's summer. It's nice. I want to be out on the water, right? But could I have someone there monitoring my order desk so that if an order comes in, we can snag that up and not miss it, right? Do you guys offer the ability to maybe try this out on a part-time basis or nights and weekends? How's that process work?
So we do have a flex schedule that needs to be discussed with the VA before hiring them. We have about 6,000 VAs apply to work for our company on a monthly basis, and we only hire the top 1% of those. So we're getting really high caliber people that traditionally are looking for full-time employment. But to your point, in terms of the timing, some of them would probably prefer to work on the weekends because then they have more family, kids, or whatever it may be. So it's a matter of just identifying that with the team on the front end. I don't see that but we offer full-time and part-time roles. We don't, in terms of the schedule, as long as it's consistent and fits with somebody, that's what we try to identify on the front end.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm excited to learn more, and I think you and I chatted briefly before we started. Maybe we'll have you on for a webinar. You can kind of show us some examples of how this works in real time and some of the successes that you've had. When someone, what's your return policy? I mean, let's say that we try it out and this is not going to work. Number one, how many people do that? They try it and then they stop, versus how many people try it and say, oh, Sean, I need 2 or 3 more of these VAs. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we have about a 90% retention rate with the people that we onboard. In addition to that, the number one source of the growth of our business is we get anywhere from like 2 to 4 from every person that we actually onboard after they get to see the value of what we deliver as a service. Because it's very unique. It's not just a VA. We're really building the system to offload all that work in your company to somebody else and give you transparency. That's what's lacking, and that's usually why VAs don't work out and why they get a bad rep. in the space. You're getting somebody that may speak broken English, where it's really a body shop that just gave you somebody, and they didn't do all the work on the front end that we do to train them, identify the right skill set, the right personality profile. All those things are done by us to make sure you get an incredible value. And I can tell you this, speaking from my own experience and numerous other clients, we have testimonials right on our website if you wanted to hear, at scalevirtually.com, what the experience is like. This is truly changing the life. Like, one of the things I love about my company is we change the lives of the people we get to work with. So it's a win-win-win for the VA. It's a win for our company. It's a win for our client. And that's the type of business that we love being in.
I think if any appraiser listening would like to make more money and work less, you probably got their attention right now, right? So if somebody wants more information, what do they need to do to get in touch with you or check it out to make an inquiry?
Okay, so if you were to go to scalevirtually.com, that's actually where we have all the testimonials. There's a schedule right there where you could book a call. But Bryan, I'm also going to provide you a link. And for any of the members of your program that sign up, we'll provide a free week of service so that they can see what it's actually like to leverage this capability in their company. All I can tell you is this has been a game changer for me and the clients that we work with. And this could be the catalyst when business is tough. If you have someone working, those hours that you're not, to drum up more business for you, this is how you can stay competitive until business comes back around, and then really turn it on.
Yeah. And then they're probably going to be knocking at your door needing 2 or 3 more, right? Thank you so much, Sean, for being here. So, guys, check out the link. It'll be in the comments below. And use a promo code BS Reynolds. He's going to give you a free week. You can't beat that deal. Sean, if somebody wants to reach out to you personally and have a conversation with you, is there an email address or something you'd share?
Sure. My email address is sean@scalevirtually.com. So that's SEAN at SCALEVIRTUALLY.com. If you shoot me an email there, my assistant will be the one answering it, but we'll get you on the schedule and we'll make sure we take care of you.
Very good. And I met some of your team. I was recently at a conference, a short-term rental conference out in Austin about a month or so ago, and met a couple of your team members. Great folks. Very pleasant conversation with them, and hopefully we'll see you in one of our conferences real soon too. Sean Connolly, thank you so much for taking the time out and having a conversation. We're going to have you back, maybe on a webinar real soon.
Terrific. Thanks a lot, Bryan. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching and listening to the Appraisal Update podcast, brought to you by Appraiser eLearning. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. Hope you're making some money. Maybe business is starting to trickle back in a little bit. It has been for us. I hope it is for you as well. Until next time, make some money. Take a little vacation, even if it's one of those mini vacations I talk about, and happy appraising.
The Appraisal Update podcast is brought to you by Appraiser eLearning.